All right, so lately we've started a series talking about being more exposed. And when I talk about being more exposed, what I'm referring to is basically being more knowledgeable, having a wider field of view of things, maybe a better understanding of things, and possibly taking information from different domains that you've learned over time and then combining it into something that you're working on or something that you're passionate about. Now, when we talk about this, there's something else I want to share with you. So for me, I've learned over the years, again, by exposing myself to different pieces of content and different people, I've learned different ways or different things that I use to help me live life better, right? So when I say live life better, I'm referring to being able to make the most of the opportunities that come my way, to make sure that I don't procrastinate as much as I sometimes have a tendency to make sure that I'm effective and efficient in the things that I want to do, and to make sure that I'm able to just keep making progress in a way that I enjoy. I thought I'd share those ideas with you. So let's get started with it. So the first of them is lowering the bar. When I say lower the bar, I have created a video about that. So if you're interested in finding out more, you can check out that video. But basically, sometimes when we want to achieve high, lofty goals, sometimes they seem so great and so high that they seem unattainable. And sometimes we just need to build momentum. So in order to build that momentum, what we can do is set the bar low to start with. What does that mean? An example that was given, or that is possible, that is an example that is, often given, is the one of somebody who wants to begin running. Initially, they say, forget all the, many miles. If you can't actually wake yourself up to get out of bed, just make sure your first goal, put your sneakers and socks, maybe a change of clothes for running, just by your bed. And every morning, just put them on. You don't even have to leave the house. Just put them on. But you'll find that when you achieve that, you actually find that you're actually more likely to go out. And you might just start with maybe not even doing a run, maybe just leaving your house, wearing your sneakers in the morning. That could be a start. And then afterwards, you can go for a walk. Again, you're just building up momentum to get to the point where you can then go for a run. And even when you're running, you might just run for a little bit, feel tired, and then slow down. But then the next morning, or over a few days, you can find that the amount of time you're able to run for increases, and then you're able to just build up momentum that way. That's just something to bear in mind, that you can set the bar low to start with. I'm not saying stay low. I'm saying to start with in order to keep going and keep progressing. I remember one time I told myself, okay, you know what, I wanted to make a video. Nobody made me do it, but I just thought it'd be cool to do. So we had some footage from a church I was going to where we had different events around Easter, so Good Friday and Sunday as well. And I thought it'd be really good to have a video kind of just showing what we did over that time. But when I thought about it, I was like, oh, it's just going to be so much effort looking through so much footage. What am I going to do? And then I just thought, you know what, set the bar low. Let's actually get something out in the first place. So I thought, okay, instead, set myself the constraint of a minute. If it's a minute, it might as well be a YouTube short. So I then made it a vertical video and then just took some bits of footage, had some nice music in the background that was also from the Good Friday service, and then put it together and put it out there. Now, I could have spent a lot of time just trying to piece things together, and it would have taken me way longer to do it. But I just thought, you know what, this is the first one, set the bar low and just push something out. And then eventually we can see about tweaking it, making it better for next time, or making a longer video, but at least let's get something out. And that actually helped me get out of my creative rut, in a sense. I have another video on that. Check the description for that. And I just went ahead and created that video. So again, that's another example of set the bar low, but setting the bar low is not for you to remain at the low point. It's to give you the momentum. So gradually build the momentum to get towards the level or the goal that you're aspiring to. Hope that makes sense. If it does, let me know in the comments. Just write, makes sense. All right, let's move on to the next one. So the second thing that I would talk about is asking myself, what would it look like if it were easy? Again, this isn't a cop-out. This isn't trying to, not take on responsibility, but it's also saying sometimes we complicate things. We overcomplicate things beyond what they should be. So the question is, if what I'm trying to attain, or if what I'm trying to do was easy, what would it look like? Because it then unlocks different possibilities. For example, it may let you see that actually maybe you shouldn't be doing this by yourself, and bring other people on board to help you along your journey to make it faster or better or easier. That's one thing. Two, there might be tools already that can help you with doing calculations. Imagine trying to solve, equations using an abacus when you could use a calculator and there is no constraint telling you you can't use a calculator? Why would you choose to use that or something else when you have something very simple that you can use straightforwardly? Again, that's just another question. Or if you have a spreadsheet, for example, so not even just a calculator, but a spreadsheet that can take in much more information, why wouldn't you use that instead of doing things manually or even doing things with just a calculator? Again, asking yourself, what would it look like if this were easy? It's a very key thing there. Now, an example of how I did this was, there was a time I wanted to do a 360 video. So a video kind of going around a new microphone that I got, and I kept trying to think, how do I do it? Do I, create a huge rig? Do I need to buy some new equipment? And then I thought, no, I had this thing called a magic arm. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me right now, but basically it was something that basically could extend. It had two ends basically, and it's usually for putting your camera or microphone at odd angles or in different places. But then I thought, oh, I could actually stretch it out and then tie a string on top. And then in so doing, I could then, once I release the string, or like I tighten it basically, and once I release it, it would just spin around, and that's the effect that I wanted. I also had a 360 camera, which was quite small, and that meant I could actually use that as the device that I used to record the video. And that was me thinking, if this were easy, what would it look like? Now, it wasn't perfect. Let's say, for example, the video wasn't the smoothest, I would say, but it got me 80% of the way there, and that was all I needed. So, important thing, ask yourself the question, what would it look like if it were easy? All right, let's go to number 3. Number 3 is, what would it look like if it were fun? Now, this is something I'm still working on, I have to admit. I'm still working on it. But when I ask myself, what would it look like if it was fun? It challenges me to think, there's some things that I think, oh, I don't want to do this, or it's not going to be fun, but actually there might be a way of making it fun. A simple thing would be, for example, when it comes to doing dishes, right? Sometimes I don't feel like doing the dishes, but then if I can find a way of making that activity fun, then I'm more likely to do it. So for example, there might be an audiobook I've been wanting to finish or a YouTube video that I wanted to watch. I just set that up, and then whilst doing the mechanical effort of washing dishes, I'd also be able to watch that video and actually enjoy that process, even though the actual activity itself was not that exciting. But because I'm pairing it with something that I do find more exciting and more enjoyable, I actually get both done. So that's another thing you can do. You can pair up activities, but just remember, you can ask yourself when you're doing something, what would it look like if it were fun? I'm still trying to figure out a way to apply that to my PhD. I find the process of research right now and just the writing is not really, how do I put it? It's not particularly enjoyable for me right now. But then I know I need to find that thing that helps it become maybe easier and more enjoyable, so more fun. I'm still asking myself, what would it look like if doing my PhD was fun? I'm going to figure that out. And once I know, I'll let you know. But if you have any tips for me, let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate it. All right, let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is a simple tool. We all have access to it. As long as you can read and write, you have access to it. And it's called journaling. Yes. Now, journaling is basically just writing on either a sheet of paper or typing on a computer, just getting your thoughts from outside of your head, from inside your head rather, to outside, whether it's on paper or on a document, for example. And what it does is that it just helps to free your mind, and sometimes it helps you think clearer, such that things that you felt potentially afraid of, or things that just feel magnified in your head, once you make it concrete by writing it down or typing it up, you realize that actually it may not be as big an issue as you had thought, right? Just by asking yourself questions. So for example, I ask myself, particularly when I'm procrastinating, I say, okay, what is the activity I need to do? Why do I think I'm procrastinating? And I kind of go down maybe 5 levels of why. Okay, why do I think this is making me procrastinate? Okay, then I might move to other kinds of questions like, what could I do to make it more fun? Or how could I just get started so that I don't feel procrastination? Or is it a case where I'm afraid of something, that's why I'm procrastinating? Okay, why am I afraid of that thing? Is there something I can do to release that fear? The more I write and get things down, the more I realize, oh, actually, there are things that I can do to make sure that I don't procrastinate as much. And other times, though, besides journaling, it could help if you have a good trusted friend you can speaking to someone and saying, I just want to air my thoughts, in a sense, to just get some thoughts out of my head. And just the act of talking, even if they don't give you feedback, just being able to talk to someone about what you're thinking or what you're going through could actually be really helpful in making sure that you're able to just unblock yourself, basically. So be able to actually get through some things and go beyond that. So that's what I do when it comes to procrastinating. I kind of journal to make sure that I'm able to just understand my thoughts a bit better. Journaling has many benefits. You can go look that up, but definitely recommend it. Now, on the topic of procrastinating, I do have a tool that I use. It's called the Pomodoro timer. Now, it's not a physical timer that I have. It's just something I put up. But the basic premise is that you take about 20 minutes, 20 or 25 minutes, where you say, okay, there's something I don't want to do, but for the next 20 or 25 minutes, I'm going to focus on this. So just that amount of time. And then afterwards, you can take a 5-minute break and then begin again the cycle of 25 minutes. So for example, you could do, let's say 25 minutes of focused work, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes of focused work, 5 minutes break. And then in an hour, you would have gotten 50 minutes of work done, instead of procrastinating and doing nothing in that hour, right? But what I do, in a sense, my own variation on it, is that I don't even go as far as 25 minutes. I just tell myself, you only have to work on this for 5 minutes, only 5 minutes. Now, in doing that, what I actually find is that it actually helps me just, again, build that momentum. I'm going to do another video talking about momentum, by the way. I think they're even better than goals. Goals are necessary, but momentum is pretty important. And when I'm done, I'll put a link to that video in the video description of this video. But anyway, I digress. So I use it to just help me get started. Sometimes, a lot of the time when it comes to doing big tasks, the hardest part is starting, right? Listen to that. The hardest part sometimes is starting. So what do? Find something to let me jumpstart my starting process, which may mean telling myself that, okay, I only have to work on it for the next 5 minutes. Only 5 minutes. But oftentimes what I find is once I just jumpstart and start working on something for 5 minutes, I kind of get into the flow such that I don't want to leave it after 5 minutes. And I keep going for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes maybe an hour, maybe sometimes even 4 hours. But I just need that little spark to get myself started. That's what's important here. You want to make sure that you give yourself that jump start. So the Pomodoro timer is a perfect way to start. There are many ways you can do it. You can just type in 20-minute timer on Google and it'll give you a 20-minute timer. Most phones have the ability to do timers on them, so you can do that as well. Then on YouTube, there are many Pomodoro timers as well. So whether you like, a timer with a lot of interesting backgrounds going on, you can have that as well. But also the physical, being able to see a physical timer, like see the countdown, is very, very helpful as well. Not just saying, okay, I'm going to give myself 20 minutes. No, actually seeing the time countdown. Something, I don't know how, but somehow for me, psychologically, it really helps me to just get started and get going with doing something. So that's something that could help you as well along your journey. Then I want to talk about efficiency and effectiveness, but let's start with efficiency. So sometimes when I'm thinking of, okay, how do I, when I'm doing particular tasks, I think, okay, how can I make this process more efficient? And it just, for me, it becomes a way of gamifying whatever I'm doing, which then adds to the fun element of doing something that I'm doing. So there was one day, I think also at that Good Friday event as well, we're going to have a Good Friday dinner at church with different members of the church come through and just eat and, enjoy ourselves together as a family. And that would have been nice. But then, and it wasn't going to be nice. It was nice. But when we were doing that, I was helping with setting things up and I had to, set up the table, so do the cutlery and the plates and all that. And I kept thinking, is there a more efficient way of doing it such that, you can reduce time? I also know that doing things in batch means that you can get quicker at that thing and then do other things afterwards. So rather than setting each plate, so maybe put a mat, then put the fork and knife and plate and cup and all that, I decided to, batch them. So basically, for example, on one table, do all the mats, then do all the cutlery, then do all the cups, and then do all the plates. So in doing it that way, I was able to make the process more efficient and get things done a lot faster. And for me, just even thinking about that just makes the process of something that could be monotonous actually a bit more interesting. So again, that's something to think of. And then plus, with being more efficient, you are able to finish things faster and use less energy or less resources. So again, that's something to consider in whatever work you're doing, asking yourself, is there a way I could improve this such that I can improve the speed at which I do it, or reduce the amount of energy it takes me to get this done? Those are questions that I ask myself, whatever project I get involved with. And then here comes effectiveness. So sometimes efficiency isn't what is going to get you doing things. Sometimes it's actually effectiveness. Let me explain. So there was a study done, and let me open that up so I can read about it clearly so I don't miss it. So basically there was an experiment done, and it was set up, I think, by Dr. Val Curtis, who was a hygiene expert at the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. And the study was to find a way to encourage better hand hygiene, especially in hospitals where hand washing was critical to prevent the spread of infections. I know there were similar studies as well done in more rural areas where they wanted to curb the prevalence of a particular disease. And what they did was they made sure they made the soap scented. When people were just told, wash your hands, it'll help kill diseases and stop the spread of diseases, it wasn't enough to convince people. So you would think, okay, the efficient thing is just to tell people they know it's about their health, they'll want to do the job and just, be healthy. But behavior doesn't always quite follow that pattern. If you're looking for information on what we call behavioral economics, seeing how people behave, economics generally thinks people behave rationally, but actually in reality, people are irrational in their behavior, but they are predictably irrational. So if we know that, you can then change your behavior or change people's behavior by accounting for that. But anyway, back to this story. So what they did is they made the soap scented. And so people wanted to wash their hands because they liked the smell of the soap. And as a result, it then led to reduction in the incidence of disease in that area. Again, it's something to just bear in mind that sometimes, even if there is a more efficient way of doing things, if you are able to just get things done somewhere or another in a way that maybe may take a bit longer, but guarantees or gives a greater guarantee of it being done, sometimes you do that. So for example, back to my example of doing dishes, I know I might procrastinate on doing them if I just see them there and I know all I have to do is just spend time washing dishes. But if I know I can make that time more useful by pairing it with an activity that I actually enjoy, then I'm going to do it. Maybe watching a video may not let me maybe move as fast in terms of cleaning the dishes as I would if I was just solely concentrating on it. But I actually enjoyed the full process, in which case maybe taking that extra little time may not be such a bad idea for me to enjoy it. I know there was also a cyclist. If anybody remembers the name of this cyclist, put it in the comments so that other people can find out more about him as well. But basically, I think he was either a cyclist or a runner. I can't remember which, maybe runner. And what he used to do was every morning he'd go for a run and he'd push himself, as fast as he can. But then one day he just wanted to spend a little more time just enjoying the environment as he was moving and not being so, what's the word? Not pushing himself so much to the limit. But when he did that, he found that actually the amount of time he saved or the amount of time he spent just in being able to enjoy the process of running rather than pushing himself far close to his limits or beyond his limits was only a few seconds. And then he realized, wait, I can actually get the benefit of doing exercise, but also enjoy the process just by allowing myself to actually just take in the nature around me. And then he found that, and that was with minimal impact on his health progress. So he realized, okay, being effective, so doing something that helps you get something done, even if it's not the most efficient, might be a good way to go about things if doing things the efficient way isn't going to help you get to getting that goal or getting that action done. So that's just something to bear in mind. But yeah, those were the 7 different principles that help me live better. And I wonder, are there any that maybe you use that I haven't mentioned in this video that you think would be worth sharing with people? Go ahead and share in the comments. I've been saying share in the comments, but really, I'm hoping this video would serve as a bit of an instigator for back and forth comments and back and forth conversation so we can all learn from each other. Again, let's be more exposed. Let's open our minds and our hearts to different things that can help make our lives and the lives of people around us much better. And if you're interested, a lot of the videos I've mentioned, I'm going to put in the description and in the description of this video and also in a pinned comment. If I forget to do that, again, let me know in the comments and then I'll put that up. But yeah, I'll put those up and then let me know what you think. Anyway, but in the meantime, you should check out the video that appears on either this side or this side of your screen, somewhere there. Click on it and I think you'll enjoy it. All right, I will catch you in the next one. I'm off to be more effective today. All right, take care. Bye.